Now is Joel Anderson. Joel's a senior national reporter for BuzzFeed News, and Joel's been reporting from on the ground in Baltimore all night long tonight. Joel, thanks very much for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Can you give me some sense of what you've seen in terms of the trajectory? One of the things we're trying to figure out here is that with this curfew going into effect tomorrow, it's unclear what that's going to mean for tonight and whether people are tired after 7 hours of these protests now or whether this is likely to be an all-night thing.
It's really hard to predict. That at times it seems that the protests or the people out in the street are gaining momentum, and that there's going to be some larger conflict, and then all of a sudden, as soon as that energy builds, it sort of dissipates. So it's really tough to know. Like I said, I got here in the town around 3 o'clock, and it seemed really, really dangerous. It seemed like there was going to be chaos all afternoon long, and then after a couple hours it settled down, and then it built back up, and like right now it seems like it's sort of calmed down a bit.
In terms of the injuries today, one of the things that happens in reporting on incidents like this is that you get more or less detailed but definitely specific information about injuries to police officers. We were told, for example, on Saturday night that 6 police officers incurred minor injuries. We were told today by the Baltimore police chief that 15 officers were injured, including 2 injured seriously enough that they were still hospitalized tonight. Obviously, tons of concern for those law enforcement officers for putting themselves in harm's way for their own communities. Also, though, there's concern about the level of violence out there in the streets and whether or not civilians and protesters themselves are being injured. Did you see any of that?
You didn't see a lot of that. For whatever reason, there were not a lot of protesters or people in the streets that got hurt. But it certainly feels like there's a potential for that to go around. There's people throwing bottles out there, people breaking into stores, and all of a sudden, there's chaos around one store or something, and you don't know what's going to happen. So I haven't seen a lot of injuries out in the streets tonight, but I think certainly if it kept up at that rate going into tomorrow, you might start to see more of that and see more reports of that.
Joel, one last question for you, and that is about the interventions that the councilman was just describing in terms of respected members of the community, and in particular men in the community stepping up to try to be a calming influence. Did you see evidence of that today?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the older residents were definitely trying to step in, preventing guys from confronting the police and the firefighters that were trying to put out fires around the West Baltimore area. And I mean, they're some of the people that are most frustrated right now. They've decried a lot of the violence or the looting. And so, yeah, they're definitely trying to reach out to some of these kids. They're getting mixed results from that, but they're definitely trying to, calm some of this anger down.
Joel Anderson, senior national reporter for BuzzFeed News, has been on the streets of Baltimore all day today. Thanks very much, Joel. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right.